Hello students, in the present session I'll cover synchronous and asynchronous bus. The primary function of a bus is to provide a communication path for transfer of data. So within the bus it consisting of bus protocol. The bus protocol is nothing but set of rules that governs the behavior of various devices connected to the bus. So basically, the bus protocol specifies some parameters like asserting control signals, timing of placing informations on the bus, as well as the data rate at which the informations can be exchanged. The typical bus consisting of three parameters like address, data, and control lines. So the control signals which specifies whether a read or write operation is to be performed. Carry timing signals or informations, that is, they'll specify time at which the IO device can place the data on the bus. So the read or write operations which will specify the type of the operations. So if the value of read bar write is equal to 1, the type of operation is read, and if the value of read bar write is 0, the operation type is write operation. During data transfer operation, one device plays the major role of a bus master. The master device initiates the data transfer by issuing read bar write command on the single system bus. The device addressed by the master is called as slave. So we can consider the master and slave concept here. The one will be the master always, and other devices will behave as slave. So we are having two types of buses. The first method is synchronous bus and the second type is asynchronous bus. So first we'll take synchronous bus. So in the case of synchronous bus, all the device drives the timing information from a common clock line. So from the common clock line, all the devices will drive the timing informations. So here the information travels over the bus. It is speed determined by the physical and electrical characteristics. So we are having the clock pulse, which clock pulse must be longer than the maximum propagation delay between the devices connected to the bus. So can make use of clock pulse width should be long to allow the devices to decode the address and the control signals. The slaves take no actions or place any data on the bus before T1. Initially, the slave will not place any data before the time slots T1. So initially, so this is the bus clock, and the address and commands will be placed on the single system bus. So now at T1, I can say that the address and commands are placed at at T naught. At T naught the processor will place address as well as commands, and with respect to that address and commands, the data will be placed at the time interval T1. So slave places requested input data on the data lines at time T1. At the end of clock cycle T2, the master strokes, that means it will captures the data on the data lines, and the address and commands which are placed by the processor will be deleted from the system bus. So a sequence of events during a read operation. So at T naught, that means the master it will places the device address on the address lines and sends an appropriate commands on the control lines. The commands will be in order to indicate an input operations, because we are performing the basic read operation and it will specify the length of the read operation. So initially it will indicate what kind of operation is to be performed. Suppose if it is read, means read operation, and also specifies the length of the operation is to be performed. How many blocks or how many bytes of data need to be read out from the memory. So here we can observe that detailed timing diagram for the input transfer. So we are having, this is nothing but bus clock, and initially the master will place the respective address and commands on the bus, but immediately those address and commands will not be visible by the master. So it takes some delay. After some interval of time at TAM, the master can see the address and commands on the bus. So now the address and commands which are placed by the master can be visible by the slave, that means IO device, after TAM. Here we can observe that initially, so at TAM the master is placed the respective address and commands. So once again it takes some delay over here. After some particular time interval at TAS, slave can see the placed address as well as command. So after that the requested data will be placed on the bus at TDS. That means the slave will place the data. So this is nothing but data. The slave will place the data on the bus at the time interval TDS. But the placed data will not be visible to the master until TDM. So until TDM. So at the time interval TDM, the master can observe or master can see the data which was placed by the slave. So placed by the slave. So that is TDM. So during time interval T2, the respective address or commands which were placed by the master as well as the processor can read the data completely from the address bus. So this is the data. It can be read by the master. And finally, whatever the control signals or address and commands were placed by the processor as well as slave can be deleted from the system bus. So that is at T2 finally, after performing the entire operations, the respective commands or addresses or else the control signals, whatever which was placed by the master as well as slave, can be deleted from the single system bus. So this is the diagram shows an input transfer using multiple clock cycles. So we are having multiple clock cycles and we are having address lines, command lines as well as data lines, followed by one more special signal called as slave ready signal. So during clock cycle 1, the master sends the address and commands. So slave receives those address and commands and it will decode it. So at the active edge of the clock, that is the beginning of clock cycle 2, so it will respond to the respected operation which is to be performed. The data becomes ready and it will place the data on the bus at clock cycle 3. So at the same time the slave asserts a control signal called as slave ready. The master strobe the data to its input buffer at the end of the clock cycle 3 and the bus transfer operation is now completed. And the master sends a new address to start new transfer of data during clock cycle 4. So once again the slave will acknowledge by sending slave ready signal. So asynchronous bus. So this method uses two handshake signals. So the first handshake signal is called as master ready signal. The second handshake signal is called as slave ready signal. The master ready signal is used to indicate the master is ready for transactions. So slave ready signal is used by the slave in order to indicate the slave is ready for transactions. So here we can observe that the handshake control of data transfer during input operations. So the read operations. So during time T1, the master sets master ready signal. So I can say observe that here we are having address as well as commands and we are having the master ready signal. So at time T1, the master will set the master ready signal to 1. So that means it is high now, to inform all the devices that the address and command information is ready. So master ready signal is 1 that causes all the devices on the bus to decode the address. So now the address will be decoded by the respective devices. At the delay T1 minus T0, is intended to allow for any skew that may occurs on the bus. Skew occurs when two signals transmitted from one source arrives at the destination at different time. So skew may occur whenever two signals are transmitted from one source but arrive at destination at different time. So that during arrival, both the signals are transmitted from the same source at the given same instant, but to the same destination, it may arrive at different time interval. Therefore, the delay between delay T1 minus T2 should be larger than the maximum possible bus skew. So here initially the master is placed his request, that means master ready at time interval T1. So once again we can observe that the slave can assert its slave ready signal over here, that is at T2. And after, once again it will take some after the slave ready signal, the data will be placed on the bus. Data will be placed on the bus at T3. So here we can observe that. So at T4, the master removes the address and commands information from the bus. So at T3, slave ready signal arrives at the master, indicating that the input data are available on the bus. Now data is available at T3. At T4, the master removes all the informations like address and commands informations from the bus. At T5, when the device interface receives 1 to 0 transition of master ready signal, it removes all the data and slave ready signals from the bus. So this completes entire input operations. Initially at T1, the master will place master ready signal. At T2, slave will place slave ready signal. At T3, the slave ready signals arrives at the master, indicating the input data is ready or available on the bus. At T4, master removes address and commands. At T5, the device interface receives the transition from 1 to 0 means. So transition of 1 to 0 of the master ready signal, it removes all the data and slave ready signals from the bus. So therefore the entire input or transfer operation is completed now.